need to start with an apology. I told you that we would have a fireside chat, but look around. This is not a cozy room. There's no crackling logs. It's really loud. And there's no hot chocolate. Sorry. But, Dan, I have a surprise for you.
All right.
Besides conference lights, I had a little magic because this is an AI conference, right?
Yep.
And Zeta has always delivered for bread, right?
They have.
Okay, so right?
All right.
Right? It's not exactly cozy, but how on brand for Zeta is this, everyone? Okay, so let's step back a little bit. Dan, besides your AI, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about bread for those who might not know in the room.
Sure, I appreciate it. My name's Dan Glassman, and I lead new account acquisitions and performance marketing for Bread. So effectively, the team has all the marketing channels we use to acquire and bring on new accounts. If you haven't heard of us, Bread is a tech-forward financial services firm. We really focus on private label credit cards for retailers, co-branded credit cards where we work with major brands, and sales finance tools. Think of big ticket purchases like jewelry or furniture. What's unique about our business compared to other banks is we mostly work with brand partners. We work with third parties. So we are as much in a B2B space as we are in the direct-to-consumer space. And just for context, we have about 1 in 7 Americans as our customers.
That is an impressive legacy and very forward-looking. So let's rewind a bit and set the stage for the people in the room. Bread Financial really started with brand channels and loyalty lists. Would you say that was really your bread and butter? Okay, I asked for permission first. For those of you who know you're not allowed to do that with bread, he said I could do it, so it was fine. So what made you and your team really decide that you needed to expand beyond the typical brick and mortar?
So the firm's history is really rooted with traditional retail. We offered private label credit cards for brick and mortar retailers, and that's our legacy. Over the last several years, we started to expand our product set. We added buy now, pay later, installment lending. We also started to really lean into traditional bank cards. Think of Visa, MasterCard, or American Express cards. We also expanded the type of partners we started to work with, and we started to move beyond traditional retail. Now, for us to do traditional credit cards for non-retailers, we really have to acquire accounts in open market. By that, I mean customers are not currently in a physical store supporting a specific brand. So we had to do a few different things as a company. First, we had to really reinvent our brand overall. We went from a brand where we're really a brand behind the brand. We were called Alliance Data Services. But we rebranded ourselves about 3 years ago to Bread Financial and started to do consumer-facing marketing. The other thing we had to do is start to build out our open market prospecting tools. For example, we built a prospect database and started to build some of the technology resources needed. And finally, we started to experiment with MarTech partners and external vendors to really start to see how can we start to reach open market. And we luckily crossed paths with Zeta and started to test Zeta.
That's great. And for those of you who know me, I've never been handed a mic in my life, so it's really loud in here. So, okay, so that is a big strategic shift, and we all know that consumer demand does not stand still, which brings me to my next question. Shopping patterns have really changed at lightning speed. Just out of curiosity, I asked my twins, I said, have you ever been to a mall? And their response was, what's a mall? Is that on TV? So, given that, how exactly do you handle that shift toward this more open market prospecting, and how does that really affect your brand partners, knowing that's such an emphasis for Bread Financial?
Well, the shift to open market really has turned into a compliment. So the thing with working with retailers is, for many of them, they're highly seasonal. Think of a major jewelry brand, for example. There's certain holidays where they have peaks, and for the most part, our growth of our products tended to follow some of those seasonal peaks and valleys. What we found is open market prospecting, including through Zeta, really helped smooth out our growth. We were able to reach out, find new consumers, including those periods where consumers are trying to pull back and during those off seasons. The other value we found was we could truly find net new customers. We were able to find customers who are not typically shopping with our partners including taking customers from other direct competitors. So it was a win-win for us and it's a win and our partners. We were really helping grow their business as well.
Well, as marketers, we all know that predictability is something that is none of this happened during rehearsal, so just so you know. Okay, awkward. Okay, so when you first introduced this idea to retailers that, hey, we are going to help you drive not just new cardholders, but new to brand customers, I can imagine it wasn't a resounding absolutely. I'm guessing there was probably some skepticism. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what their response was and ultimately how Red overcame that?
Sure. So we work with large brands, major retailers, and we interface with the marketing teams. So imagine going to a large senior marketer. They have resources, marketing budgets, dedicated customer lists. Many have loyalty programs. And the first response from a credit card company saying, we can bring you new customers is, wouldn't mind new customers, but really? So our stance tends to be, let's test this. Give us some time and we'll try to prove it to you. But there's always a little bit of skepticism that we as a credit card company can actually help grow their business. The one ask we have of our partners is give it time. And typically we need at least 3 months to start to test in, to start to find a point where we could optimally acquire for new customers. So we do ask a little bit of patience for our brand partners. The other thing we try to do is build in test and control mechanisms early on to prove incrementality. I want to be able to sit across the table and tell a partner, I have great certainty, and here's the test and learn results to show we are bringing you customers you would not acquire otherwise. This is truly incremental. Then finally, the fact that it's turnkey goes a long way for our partners. Often our campaigns are resource intensive on both sides. We could act quickly, and using Zeta to help kind of augment some of our current plans is a good selling point.
All right, so level of effort and speed to market is obviously two crucial considerations for the brand partners. But once you've had their buy-in and you've tested, the next logical question is, this is great, but is this able to scale and truly drive an impact to my customer base?
So often what we do is we start small. We start with one product or one partner within a given vertical. And actually our first partnership together was we worked with our proprietary card. We often use it as a test kitchen because it doesn't touch our brand partners. We start with that one use case. We do a thorough test. We try to get proof points. And once we prove it works in a certain space, then we start to scale it. But we use those proof points to start stepping in and selling through a given vertical. We have concentrations across our brands in certain verticals. So once we get that proof point within one space, we have some best practices, we start to build it out and scale it.
I love that. And here at Zeta, we do a lot of what we call test, prove, and expand because it's really crucial to understand what we're looking to do, prove it out, and then go from there. But even with incredibly strong results, there's one thing that can slow everything down: creative. So how do you keep momentum on the creative side when there are so many stakeholders deciding, yes, this looks good, no, this looks good, does not look good, and most importantly, in the financial vertical, we also have compliance concerns. Yeah. How do you do all of that in a way that really creates transparency and partnership with the brand partners?
So I love working with lots of brand partners, but the flip side of that is we have lots of marketing teams that we interface with, many of which have their own creative teams and opinions on how the creative should look. So for us to be able to get a series of creatives out all at one point in time, it takes lead times, often months. Moreover, it's a very iterative process because we have to include our partners and their agencies as well. So one unique thing about the way we work with Zeta is Zeta does produce the creatives for us. They do so in a way where they've learned some of the compliance considerations we have in this very careful way. But what it allows us to do is bypass some of the iterations we typically have and get to market much faster. And that's a selling point also for our brand partners. It's not, we don't have the people resource strain on them or us internally to be able to launch one of the campaigns.
Game changer, speed and compliance. So we talked a little bit about strategy and creative, but behind the scenes, we know that data intelligence is what played the largest role here. So can you talk a little bit about how Zeta's AI models really helped elevate your targeting, especially with regard to precision and speed and reaching these net new customers, but doing it in a way that is incremental and measurable so that they can see it themselves.
So, we have a very data-driven approach to credit marketing. And we typically have a couple different flavors of credit offers that we'll give for our customers. We either could do a very general offer where we don't pre-screen the credit terms, or we do what's called a pre-screen offer. And the trade-off is with pre-screen, we have a much higher approval rate. It's a better customer experience. We tend to lean on that when working with external partners, but it adds time and complexity to get it out the door. Our general offers, however, have really started to take off thanks to Zeta, because what we do is share a feedback loop with Zeta. We share insights on who are we approving and the behaviors of the consumers we want. And as a result, we've been able to lift the approval rates on our more general offers. And the benefit there is we can move quicker, but we can also do so in a way where we feel very comfortable sharing it with our brand partners. I'd say the other real benefit here is we've been able to prove to our partners we are truly attracting net new customers that are of equal quality. So the lookalike modeling that Zeta is able to produce is impressive. So we're a payments company. We see how consumers spend and how they shop. And what we don't want to do is track new customers, but have them not have the same profile and have resources shift to lower spending consumers. We've been able to find customers that are not equal or greater spending with our brand partners. So the quality of the lookalike model is quite impressive.
So that is a perfect example of how AI can be leveraged for tremendous impact. But here at Zeta, we do not take it for granted that you are trusting your brand to partner with Zeta when you go out to some of the largest retailers in the world. So can you tell the crowd, how has this bread strategy evolved from these early experiments into a standard part of your growth engine that you're willing to go side by side with Zeta to have these conversations with these brand partners?
We started off in the very niche test and learn approach. And I think we've gotten to the point where we know what are the best practices within a given vertical. We know how those verticals perform when we first launch a brand. And as a result, we basically built out playbooks. So as we start to have new brand partners launch in a given space, we know exactly what they expect. We sell it in. It's become really part of our standard toolkit now.
So it sounds like by partnering with Zeta, you really went from this test and learn model into a true playbook. So let's zoom out a little bit and let's do a little humble bragging. What results are you most proud of that the teams at Bread and Zeta have worked together to showcase?
It's the speed. So candidly, we work very quickly together. The Zeta team's fully ingrained with our side. If we have a brand partner bring us an opportunity to launch a campaign, we could get it going quickly, and we have a very seamless working dynamic. So it's just the speed at which the teams are working together and the way that we've meshed. So I'm really, really proud of that.
Perfect. And we just wanted to give everyone in this room who works on this partnership a nod of appreciation, because when we started with one brand. We started this year at 10. And together we're on track to have 20 plus by the end of 2026. So with that, Dan, I want to thank you for giving such an inside look. They're clapping for you. That's for you.
Oh.
Dan, thank you so much for giving us such an inside look at Bread's financials journey. What you've achieved along with your team is really amazing. You've expanded from brand channel roots into a scalable AI-powered acquisition, and it is a perfect example of how partnerships drive real growth. And to our audience, we want to thank you for joining us. While we may not have had an actual fire, I hope that Dan and I sparked, there's your pun, some ideas that you can take along with you. And with that, Tom Brady is next. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.